But one of the great tools that Canvas offers us is the ability to message students who perhaps missed an assignment or got a particular score on an assignment. And then you have probably seen this feature. So I'm going to go into one of my classes and let's go to grades. And when you go into grades, if you go to a particular assignment, you actually can click on the snowman or the three dots, and you can go message students who. Great tool to be able to message our students who haven't submitted something. You also can message anyone that scored less than a specific grade or more than. But the issue with this is that only our students get the email or the message, okay? So what I'm going to show you today, and when we turn this on, what's going to happen, and I want you to see this, I'm going to refresh. I'm going to go to that same assignment I was in a second ago. I'm going to go to message students who, and now you are going to see that at the bottom, I have these new tabs that were not available before. I can actually say, guess what? I want to include all the observers, all the parents in this class. And by doing that, you'll notice that now I'm not just emailing the students, but I'm also emailing the parents of the students. If you choose, you can remove the students, and now that particular message that I'm sending about this particular assignment is only going to the parents. So a great tool that is not available in Canvas per se, but we can get it using an extension. So if you are interested in getting this extension, I'm going to walk you through the steps on how to get it. And it will, again, will give you the ability to include observers or parents when you email using the feature of messaging students who. So what we need to do to make this work is that you actually have to install an extension for Chrome. So the first thing that we should be aware is that make sure that you are logged in to your Chrome browser. So notice that if I go up here, I can see that I'm logged in. And at the same time, I can see that I have a lot of extensions that I've installed. So that's the first step. Make sure that if we are going to add this, you are actually logged into your Chrome browser. So if you are, I'm going to throw a link on the chat that is going to directly take you to our extension that we need for today, okay? So if you click on it, and I'm just going to click on it, it should open a window for you. And if you have never installed the extension, it's going to allow you to install. I have already installed it. So for me, it says remove from Chrome. But what you want to do is you want to actually install it. So when you click on it, it's going to install, and you'll see a box that pops up over here that says it has been installed, okay? So let's go ahead and give it a second if you want to follow along and install it. If for whatever reason you don't see the extension showing up here, that just means that it's not showing because you haven't pinned the extension. So if you installed it already, you can come all the way to the right next to your picture or name, click on this little puzzle piece, and then you can go ahead and just make sure that the Tamper Monkey, which is the extension that we install, is in fact pinned. So if I unpin it, you'll notice that it's gone. But if I go back and I pin it, it comes back for me. So that is the first step that you need to do. Okay, so hopefully everybody has been able to pin the extension, and now we are ready to move on. So now that you've added the extension, we're not finished. You actually need to tell the extension, you have to actually program it using a script, and it sounds a little bit more difficult than it is. All you are going to do is on the chat, now that you've installed the extension, I'm going to also provide another file for you. And it's there now. You're just going to click on it. And it's going to open a window for you that looks a little bit like this. And hopefully you are there. And team, let me know if I'm moving too fast. But hopefully you are here now with the link that I sent you. And all I need you to do is I need you to go down, just scroll down a little bit. And when you get to usage and installation, you have a step 2. Do not worry about step 1. We already did it. All you have to do is says step 2, click here. I want you to click there. And when you click there, it's going to open a new window that for you is going to say install. For me, it says reinstall because I already installed it. So just make sure that you install the script, okay? So again, all I did was click on the link that I put on the chat. It took me to that particular place. I clicked on step 2, which said here, and it took me here, and then just install it, okay? Once you've installed that, now wait, you should be able to now go all the way to the right to your Tamper Monkey extension. I want you to click on it, and you should have the option to go to dashboard. Okay, so click on it, go to dashboard, and it's going to open this window. And for you, right now, it should just have the script that we added, message observers. Can you give me a thumbs up or something so I know on your screens that you are seeing this? Do we all see it, hopefully? Okay, I do see some people telling me that, oh, perfect. Okay, so you have the message observers. It should be turned on. And what you want to do is you want to go all the way to the right because now we need to add our HLP USD Canvas website to this extension, okay? And you have a little pencil right here. I want you to click on it. And when you click on it, it takes you to all this code. Please don't be scared about the code. We're not gonna touch any of this. When you are on the screen, after we clicked on the pencil, just click on settings. Okay? And your screen should look a little like mine right now. And what we need to do is that we need to actually add our Hacienda La Puente website to this script. So what you're going to do, and then let me put that up for you in a second. Give me 1 second. So you can follow with me. What you're going to do is you're gonna come down where it says user includes, and notice how mine already has our Hacienda La Puente Canvas address. You are not gonna have it there. So I want you to go to user includes. I want you to add. And if you go to the chat, I put the link that you need to add in there. I think you can kind of highlight it all and then right click and copy, or you can do Control C and then bring it to the other side and do Control V to paste it. So I'm just gonna highlight it all on the chat. I'm going to right click, copy. I'm going to come here where it says enter new rule, and I'm going to paste it. And it should look exactly like this. Once you've done that, I want you to just press OK. I'm not going to do it just because mine's already there, okay? And now you should have it. You are welcome to just close this tab if you've added the Hacienda La Puente Canvas page. Go ahead and go back to Canvas, okay? And do me a favor. You should be able to see the Tamper Monkey extension, and now there should be a red 1 on it. But if there is no red 1, just refresh your page. Are we seeing the Tamper Monkey with the little red 1 on it? Thumbs up? Yes, perfect. Thank you so much. And now you basically added the extension. And if you went to your grades and you went to any assignments and you go to the snowman and you go to message students who, you will notice that you have now the include observers and remove students option on your message students who. I'll give you a second to check it. So again, great tool to be able to include our students' parents and have them be aware of any assignments that our students might be missing, or make sure to keep them in the loop of what's going on in the class. So that is the first extension or the first script that I wanted you to add using that extension. The next one applies to all of our students and also applies to middle school and high school. As an avid instructor or a soccer coach, one of the great tools that I love is the ability to go to one of my students and click on them, on their name, and be able to see all of their grades, okay? Right now, the way Canvas is set up, you can only see the grades for that particular course. So if I was a counselor or a coach, I would need to go to period 1 Spanish and see their grade, and then go to period 3 biology and look at their grades and so on and so on. But by adding the script that we're gonna do right now, you will basically add a new tab to the student's screen where I can click on it and it says view all grades. And now I can see the students' grades for the entire, anything that they're doing in Canvas. And I can also come in here and filter by fall or spring to see their grades. So I'm going to show you how to do this. It's going to be really easy because we already added the extension. So if you teach elementary and you don't want to do this, you just kind of can just watch. But if you think this is something that is going to benefit you, and it definitely benefits our students to be able to see all of their grades in one place, what you are going to do is do the same thing we just did a second ago. I'm going to, on the chat, I'm going to put a new link that is going to take you to a place where we can install our script. So if you click on it, if you are going to install it, go ahead and click on that link that I just put there for you. It's going to take you to this page right here. I want you to scroll down. And then you see where it says quick install. Actually, it's right on the top. Quick install. We're not touching number 1 because we've already done that step. I just want you to click on number 2 like we did before. Just go ahead and click on it. And it's gonna again ask you to install that script. I'm not going to reinstall. I already have mine in. So you just want to install that script. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll give you a second to do that. Once you've added that script, we're gonna do exactly what we did before. We're gonna go to our Tamper Monkey extension. We're gonna go to dashboard. Okay, you should now see 2 scripts, the message observers, which we had done already, and now you should be able to see view all grades for a student. Okay, what we are going to do now, again, right now it doesn't know how to do that in our HLP USD Canvas page, so we have to do the same step that we did before. We have to go to the right. We have to click on the pencil. We have to go to settings. And just like we did before, I want you to scroll down under user includes, and I want you to add our Hacienda La Puente Canvas address. And I'll go ahead and put it again on the chat for you. If you scroll up, it will be there, but I'm just going to throw it in there for you. It should be there, so you can select it all, then right-click, copy. Let's go to add under user includes, and make sure you add it there, paste it, and press OK. Once you do that, you can go back to Canvas, refresh, and now instead of having a 1 on the Tamper Monkey, you should see a 2, because now you have 2 scripts running on Canvas now, okay? You have the message observers, and you also have the view all grades for a student. Now you could go to any of your classes, go to grades, select that student. I'll show you how that looks like, or what that looks like. I'm going to go to any of my classes. I'm going to go to grades. I'm going to select any of my students now, okay? I'm sorry, my image is probably on the way, on top of it, but I can click on the student's name. And now I can actually have the tab to view all grades for that particular student, okay? So it's kind of a great tool to have. I can go to any of the classes and I can click on them, okay? And it will show me all of her grades. I can click by grading period. I can click by due date. I can scroll down and see everything this person has done, okay? Just so you know. So those are the 2 tools that I wanted to show you. Teresa's gonna touch on this very important part of this screen later on when we talk about grades. And I just wanted to add that you might see, we might not cover this on a PD, but you might see more videos on our YouTube channel that will actually show you how to do more things with that particular extension. Like for instance, we hate that our kids see all these missing pink assignment things on their grades. There is a way to add a script that will remove that from their view. So we'll make a video and we'll add that in our YouTube channel. Thank you.
All right, I'm up next. And in my portion, it'll be something that isn't so new to most of us, because if you recall, I think it was right before we winter break, we made some changes, and I say we being the Canvas people toggled on the feature, which essentially changed the student interface or the experience. I know that was something that was recommended to us by our Canvas rep. And it's interesting because as we go throughout, Canvas is constantly upgrading and making changes. And there's some of the things that we're kind of early to jump onto because we know some of the benefits. And this is hopefully going to be one of those. It does have its pros and cons, just like everything. And I know for some of us, when we first started, if you didn't experience this yourself, I know other teachers out there were saying, hey, something's missing, something's different. My students are having difficulty. But the goal and the reason why it was toggled on and the reason why Canvas came out with it is because it's intended to make things a little bit easier for our students so they can understand at what point in the submission process they may be at. So what I'm going to do is a couple of things. One, I'm going to just kind of show you, again, this should not be new because by this point in the year, you've all seen this, but I also want to ensure that you have the opportunity to experience it from the student's end. So I will ask you after I walk you through just briefly what it looks like to join our course. Some of you have already been involved in the Canvas course that we have for professional development. Maybe you joined beforehand. I'll put the link now so that if you haven't already done so, you can simply click on that link. And then it will jump you right into our Canvas professional development course. But in essence, what I want to do is show you what it looks like first, which you probably have all seen, and then give you an opportunity to walk through and actually submit as a student some of these assignments. So let's go ahead and take a look first. Let me share screen. So when you get to the course, it should look something like this. And when you're in the course, you're going to want to go to where it says modules. Then what we're really focusing on is the actual interface of what it looks like. So I created just a fake assignment here or a faux assignment. And the thing that's interesting about this is that, again, it's going to tell your students along the process where they might be. Let me go ahead and move our pictures to the side. So at this point, I can see attempt 1, and because I've structured the assignment to allow unlimited attempts, you're going to be able to submit various fashions. So if this is the assignment, you can scroll down to the very bottom and it says submission type. So this is for all of our online submissions that we toggle or assign inside of Canvas. So if you're doing an external tool, whether it be Microsoft 365 or maybe Google or something else, this wouldn't be what students are seeing. But when they are experiencing one of the online submissions through Canvas, and here's just a few of the ones that we included, whether it be text entry, media, or file, when your students are selecting this, what it looks like to them is somewhat different. And again, there are pros and cons, and we'll touch on some of the different ones. But what I would like for you to do, if you haven't already done so, is to open up our professional development course, go as I had done, which is through modules, and the very first assignment that appears under modules. And what I'm going to ask you to do, and it's not to say that you need to necessarily read the assignment in its entirety, but just the reality is that there's been a lot of things that have gone well, despite the many challenges, despite the many mountains we've had to climb over, or just the many twists and turns that presented when it comes into technology. But think of the focus on the positives and successes. So if you wouldn't mind, what I would like for you to do is select text entry and just put a little blurb there. I want to be able to show you as a teacher, what does it look like when you are submitting each of the various ones. So we're going to start off with text entry. I'm not going to put a timer up, but I'll give you some time, and then I'll show you from the teacher's end what that looks like. But I want you to see, what does a student experience as they go through submitting stuff for you, whether you have selected text entry, media, or file. So we're just doing the first one, text entry. Go ahead and take a moment to type something up, or at least submit something, just so you see firsthand what it's like.
Hi.
All right, so for my teachers, and what I'm going to be able to do is just quickly show you as I go through the assignment to enter SpeedGrader to be able to see some of the submissions, which I'm assuming most of us have already done. I just want to make sure we can catch it from both sides, whether it be from the students' end or from the teachers' end, what that looks like, and then we'll move on to the next couple. So from here, you can be able to click on the assignment. I'm already inside of it. And I would click on SpeedGrader. And I'll be able to see the various assignments, that people have submitted. And I can toggle just as you would for some of the various other submissions. I'm going to stop the share there. We're going to move to the next one. And for the next file type, I think is something that we've had some issues with, or maybe some of you may have firsthand experienced that, and that's with regards to the media. One of the things that we know and are aware of, and Canvas is aware of as well, is that when they made the toggle or the jump to the new student enhanced experience, some of our students were having a difficult time being able to submit media files. There are a couple workarounds, and I'll share maybe one of those, but I do want to make sure you have the opportunity to be able to see what it's like to submit that. Now, when I talk about the media, if that's new to you, not something you do, that's more or less when students are going to be able to record something from themselves to submit. And one of the things we found as a workaround, which is kind of already demonstrated here, is as a teacher, as opposed to be able to select, let's say, for example, I only wanted media. As opposed to only selecting media, you may be able to select other types of submissions. And so while your students are going to be directed possibly from you as the teacher, be sure to do this media type. If you have selected other options, that eliminates some of the issues that some of the students were experiencing. So if you were saying, let's say, for example, I want my students to submit only a media file, but I only select media, some of our students are having difficulty where when they click to record, they're not given the option to be able to upload. So consequently, simply by only clicking media, we're not granting some of our kiddos access to be able to do so. So by simply giving multiple options, like in this case, you can see I have text entry and file as other options. Even though I maybe want you to do media, that should be available. Now there's another workaround that I'll share, but I'll give you first a chance to be able to select media and go through that process. Now, if you're saying, I'm not sure how I do it, I already submitted something, what is my next step? I'll show you real fast what you would give there. So when this is your particular one, you can come to the top and you could be able to give a different attempt. And once you've done the different attempt, you should be able to select your attempt number 2, what submission type you'd like to use. So in this case, media, and you should be able to upload or record your media file there. So I'll give you a moment to just to walk through that. And rather than look at the teacher's end, I will show you an additional workaround that you might try with your students if you do happen to encounter issues with regards to the media. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but on the bottom of our screen, I think Ricardo or somebody had turned on, whereas the text to speech so that you can kind of see the subtitles. It's working great, except some of the words that I'm saying. It's probably a me problem. It's okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and walk us through, like I said, an additional problem solver or workaround if you do encounter issues with your students when they are going about trying to be able to assign or record themselves with a media file. And that is when you assign the assignments, you can be able to use the rich content editor to be able to place it in there. I'll show you so that we can see the same thing. Give me a moment. Again, what I'm showing you is for your students to troubleshoot when they have issues with regards to assigning or recording media. So here, I'm going to go ahead and click on that assignment. I'm going to edit it. So what I wanted to show you is if you are turning or having, when you create this and your students get the assignment, if you give them the text box, so if you come to the bottom right here where it says a submission type, even though I know that I want my students to record a media, if I select text entry, it's going to give them access to the rich content editor. And here is the rich content editor, something we see nearly all the time when we're working with Canvas. But if you haven't already noticed, up at the top right over here, you see this little icon where it says record upload media. Your students, again, this is for when they do have issues. If they have problems with the down below submitting with the regular way they may have done that, they can simply come to the Reach Content Editor and select here where it says upload record media. And more often than not, this will help resolve that issue. So just again, different workarounds. I will tell you this, I have personally spoken to a couple different Canvas representatives from their tech team and have shared with them the issue that many of our teachers are experiencing. And they said that they have a resolution, but the resolution is more or less to tell teachers not to grade an assignment, because only when teachers have begun to grade assignments, then the students who have not yet begun to be graded, those are the ones that are encountering issues. So I will say that it is not a true resolution. And so consequently, we have these workarounds that you might choose to use if you have problems with that media file type submission. All right, so let me go ahead and stop my share there. We have one more online submission type that I'd like you to be able to go through the process. So if you would do me the favor, is once you get back to our course, you just have that last one, which is file uploads. You have any document, it could be anything. One of the things we noticed that a teacher was emailing about, I think it was just last week, was that depending upon the file type that the students are using, that may be not appearing necessarily for you in the speed grader. So just be cognizant if you want to toggle which are the different types of file types, whether it be PDF, Microsoft Word, Google Docs, all of the various, I guess, utensils or document potentials that the students might use. There are certain span that you could limit, but as of right now, Canvas, if you leave it open, you don't restrict it, it's pretty wide open, but there are a few that it doesn't work with. So. I give you about one more minute to go ahead and wrap up your process of attempting from a student's end to submit that last submission type, which is file uploads. All right, we're going to jump into our last portion that we have, and that is to be able to talk really about two things. We know that a lot of teachers before when we were having access, when things kind of went crazy in February or spring of last year, students and teachers were using various different platforms, one of which was Kami. And I know that that is a paid service that our district has not necessarily purchased this school year. And so consequently, there's been a lot of kind of scramble. What can we possibly use because it maybe was no longer free? And some of you maybe choose to pay for that or maybe don't. And so for those of you that aren't, you kind of want something that you might be able to use. And if you're saying, I have no idea what you're talking about, we're talking about the ability to be able to annotate or edit PDFs. So maybe you've captured a worksheet, or maybe you have a file that you'd like for your students to work on. And that is the case. You have a couple different options. And the first one I want to share with you is, I would say, by far the most user-friendly. And this is something that our district has purchased, and that is Pear Deck. If you're not familiar with Pear Deck, essentially it's a add-on tool that you might be able to use with regards to PowerPoint or with Google Slides. And Teresa had made a fabulous video that walks you through the process. And all you really need to do is take a document that maybe you have. Let's say, for example, it's a PDF itself, or maybe it's a Word document, or maybe it's just an image, maybe a JPEG or PNG. And you're just taking that image and placing it into a slide a Google slide, and or a Microsoft PowerPoint slide. So you're essentially taking that image or that file and placing it on there. And with the ability of Pear Deck, which again, our district has purchased, there's nothing, no cost to you, all you're doing is providing a link to your students so that they can be able to access it. Because we're really focused on Canvas, I'm not going to dabble too much into it. I will be able to place the link, the video that I just alluded to. So give me a moment, I'll pull that up and I'll put it in the chat. And the biggest pro, I would say, with regards to the, the biggest pro that I would say to the using Pear Deck is the fact that it is extremely user-friendly. And one of the downsides, as I'm grabbing that link to be able to place there, is if you are using it with your students, it's specifically inside of Canvas, when you go to grade those documents, those responses, those things that your students may have worked on and edited, it's not going to pop up directly inside of your speed grader. So you're saying, well, okay, well, why would I want to use that if it's not going to go directly to my speed grader to grade? You do have the ability to grade it inside of Pear Deck. Again, I'm not spending too much time to go into Pear Deck, but because it's so user-friendly, I wanted to make sure we at least make it a mention. And if you want to learn more about that, check out that video link that I just placed there, or we're more than welcome to help you on any of those things. Now, the next thing, which really I want to spend a little bit of time of walking you through, which is how we have a workaround inside of Canvas. So let's take a step back from Pear Deck. Let's jump back directly into Canvas. And what we're doing is we're looking at how you could be able to take a document, give it to your students, have them actually annotate, write on it, type on it, as if they would possibly with other software like Cami, and then be able to submit it back to us. And the beauty of us being able to do it this route, which I will show you and walk you through, is with the new student has experience, that kind of modification, all the stuff we've been kind of going through, it's made it a lot more user-friendly for our students. So while I would say Pear Deck is still probably a little bit less work, because of the fact that when we use this workaround inside of Canvas, it goes directly to our speed grader, it kind of is a pretty good selling point. So let me go ahead and show you that. So here is my teacher's view. And what I did is I just created an assignment. It's not necessarily an external tool. Again, this is inside of Canvas, but it's called PDF Edit Sample. I'm going to go ahead and click on it so you can see what I did. When I created the assignment, I made sure that to put the submission type as, scroll down, to online. And then what I did is I selected File Upload. So this is the type of assignment that I am creating for my students. So that's the first part. I want to make sure we get checked off. The next part is I had to have a document here. So all I did was come to the top in my Rich Content Editor, not where we went earlier, not Record Upload Media, but rather right next door where you see Documents. I clicked on that from the dropdown of the Rich Content Editor, and I selected Upload Documents. And at this point, you could literally pull in any PDF document or any Word document, anything that you have that you'd like for your students to be able to write on or type onto. So there I have a synonyms, antonyms worksheet. One of the things I think that was this year, earlier in the year, I kind of was like, oh my goodness, you can do that. Because more often than not, when you're uploading a document, you'll know that it's just the words. And sometimes most of us prefer to see things. So I will tell you this is just a quick little add in there. You have link options. So when you hover over this, you can go to link options. And on the right-hand side, you see options. One of the ones we want to check off, if it's not already checked off, which I don't think the default is display inline, meaning what? When your students open it, they're going to see kind of a little preview of what it looks like. You don't have to do that, but I think it's helpful at times. So I've done this for students. I have my document there. As a teacher, I made sure that I made the submission type to online, and I changed it to file uploads for my type that I want. And what my students are going to do, and let me go ahead and jump over to a student's view. A second here. Go back. Stop that share, go to this share. So for my student, they have this assignment. They're going to go directly to this assignment. And they have the actual document there. Again, the preview is loading. But what I want them to do is simply click on the actual file itself, and it's going to download the file. So all they're doing is they open the assignment, they click on the file itself, and it's downloading the assignment. You say, okay, well, my students can handle that. And I can even see what the document looks like. But we're not done. Okay, they haven't edited anything, they haven't done anything, all they did was download the assignment. Now we're gonna be able to actually submit the assignment, okay? So you're saying, how do I go to the assignment? Well, notice that I have a lot of tabs open, so apologies there. But whenever you opened it, it opens in the tab adjacent to it or right next door. All you need to do is come to the previous tab, and then you're going to click on submit at the very bottom to the side. Let me see if I can make this larger. Oh, it's because I had already submitted this earlier. It's okay. I can go to submit new attempts. Let's try that. There's the file. I'm going to say upload the file. So again, we're pretending this is my first attempt. I had already done this once as a student. I'm going to click on upload file. And you'll notice I didn't do anything yet with the file. I'm going to find the file. And once I found the file that I didn't do anything to it, I just downloaded it. Probably it goes under downloads. Find it, go ahead and upload it. And then you're going to submit it. And you're saying, but they didn't do anything yet. And that's okay. Because once they click submit, they're going to be faced with a screen right here that gives them the option to be able to annotate. And it looks like if you've ever annotated on your students' work when they've given you something to grade, this is the same interface that you're getting. So you can be able to highlight things. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna change my color to blue and I'm highlighting things, okay? You can be able to type text. Let me go down, it's asking for synonyms and antonyms. I'm gonna put my text box here and I'm gonna type antonyms. I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna say, you know what? I wanna be able to write with words. Let me scroll back up to my toolbar here, if you will. And I'm gonna click on where I see a little icon of a paintbrush. And I can select the color I'd like. Let's say I want green, I want line, and I can write all over this, however I'd like. Now, when I do get, as from the teachers, and I'll show you what that looks like, from the teacher's end, and you open up SpeedGrader, you're gonna see all of the changes that your students had made to the file. And I wanna walk us through to make sure we understand kind of that process again, because I know sometimes it seems like it's almost too basic. Go back. So open the assignment, go to modules. There's the assignment as the student. Again, they're going to download the file itself by simply clicking on it. I've already done this twice, so let me go ahead and say new attempt for myself. I download the file. Once I download the file, I can come back to the previous tab and I can actually upload the file. And you're saying again, but we didn't do anything to it. That's okay. You're just literally downloading it and uploading it. The same exact file you downloaded. Click open, and once you click open and then you click submit, that's the point at which you're going to get the options to be able to annotate or edit on that document. Okay, so it's just a workaround. There is a wonderful video that Ricardo had made, but with a modification to student enhancements. This is a few tweaks, and so I wanted to make sure we shared this with everyone because we are covering the new student interface. All right. Are there? Oh, I wanted to show you the teacher's end before I leave you. Pass the torch. Give me a second. So this is from my teacher's end back home. I'm going to go to modules. And there's a couple different ways you could have gone about this, but I'm going to the assignment itself. And now when I'm here, I can go to SpeedGrader. And I'm going to see the various entries I may have accumulated for those student responses. And so remember I talked about the annotations. You can come here, you should be able to see whatever changes they've made. And it'll appear just like the tweaks they made there. That makes sense. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and end my share. And so again, we just walked over the student experience, the options you have for to be able to annotate PDFs or documents, whether it be with Pear Deck and the video link was shared with Teresa had made, or with the workaround inside of Canvas.
Thank you, Gabe. Happy Monday to everyone. Good afternoon. We're going to go ahead and jump into our next topic, which is going to be grading periods and dates. And then Teresa is going to share some more and kind of flow right into that topic after I am finished up. So let me just go ahead and share a screen with you here. And just want to be able to go over the different dates as far as grading periods go. I know that we have started new trimesters already. We've started new semesters, but just kind of going over why you should actually make sure that your dates are in line because it's actually going to be able to help you with viewing your grades and your different modules and assignments within your actual grade book. So Why should you adjust your dates? We just kind of talked about that, right? Why are some of your categories missing? That was a big question that we were getting early on when we shifted. And that means like if you can't see some assignments, or maybe you can't see modules, or something's missing in my grade book, I don't know where it went, right? We're going to go over why that could possibly be the case. It does have to do with your due dates or your available until date for your different assignments. So that's why it's really important that it's in that current grading period. And I will go ahead and show that to you in just a moment. So, and that could be possibly why you think maybe some of your assignments have disappeared as well, because you're not able to view them. And we just wanted to really quickly share with you the TK through 5 dates for different trimesters. Because if you end up putting in an assignment that doesn't have a due date, it will automatically move to the furthest either trimester or semester, the most current one. So if you don't see it there, that's where you're going to want to look. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into my course. And when I'm in my course, in order to see the grades and the different grading periods, I'm going to go ahead and select grades. And at the top, you're going to be able to see some different views, okay? And you see all of your students in your grade book, but if you don't see something and you're like, well, I just created an assignment and I can't find it, it might be because you are not in the correct grading period. So as you can see, if you haven't changed this filter in the top right-hand corner, you don't have the opportunity to select a different grading period. So in order for you to be able to see that, you're going to have to go to View. And when you go to View, you're going to click Filters. Okay, and now you should have a filter that says Grading Periods. Okay, so if I go ahead and click Grading Periods, now you see up here in the top right-hand corner that I have the ability to change those. So I am in spring now, but if I wanted to go back to fall because I wanted to be able to see where I could access my students' information, then I can go back and now I have a filter set where I'm able to see only the assignments that are in the fall, okay? But if I want only spring, these are my new assignments that I've selected. I can go ahead and I have the ability to even see the unpublished assignments that I have here as well. And that's another filter that we'll go over really quickly too. Also, if you want to filter for all grading periods and you want to see everything from fall to spring, and of course this is for our high school and middle school year in the semester program, but if you were an elementary teacher, your option here when you clicked View and then Filters Grading Periods would be that you would see your trimesters. So you can go back to trimester 1, trimester 2, and so on, okay? So just a really good way to be able to kind of organize your grade book as you're going through. And then also you have the ability to filter by modules. We just have modules in this particular course. But if you had assignments as a category or you had tests as a category, you would also be able to filter that way as well. As we get more and more in our courses, we tend to want to find different ways to organize things. So that is an option for you also, okay? And here's where that unpublished assignments is. If I go ahead and uncheck it, let's see if I go back to my spring, or it's actually here, these unpublished, if I don't want to see those in my grade book, I can filter that so that those unpublished assignments are gone. So a lot of neat different actions for you to use. And if you cannot see an assignment or it's not there, it might be because you're not in the correct grading period. So you can always go ahead and double check that. Again, View, Filters, and then Grading Periods, okay? Also wanted to cover, we had a couple of teachers asking about inactive students or concluded students being able to access their actual grades or from past grades. So one way to go ahead and do that is under student name in your grade book, you're going to access the 3 vertical dots right next to student name. And you have the ability to show concluded enrollments. This inactive enrollments is going to be more for like college-based courses, but our concluded enrollments here, as you can see, I'll show you on the left-hand side, you cannot see Janelle Ayala here in my grade book because I do have it organized by last name, but she was a concluded student. So I can go ahead and click on that and click concluded enrollments. And now you'll see that it populates with her name here, and now I can see all of her assignments. Okay, so that's a really good way to collapse and get rid of the student view that you don't want to see anymore, or if you need to go back and access those grades and either export them or save them, you have the ability to do that as well. So again, to see concluded students, just view, and then the 3 vertical dots here, and then I can go ahead and collapse it by getting rid of those names as well. Okay, so lots of good tools in order to be able to see those assignments that maybe you've been missing, or a good way to show how to change from trimester to trimester or semester to semester. And Teresa is gonna go ahead and jump right into our next portion of the grades.
All right. Hey, everybody. I hope you are still hanging there with us. Thank you so much. I'm going to be going over grade passback. And I know that's such a big thing. A lot of us sync our grades from Canvas to AERIES gradebook, and some of us don't, but are planning to possibly. And so I'm just going to give you some tips and tricks that will help you, because we've seen a lot of people, it's not working for them for whatever reason, but these tricks help them. So we're going to share that with you today. So that's what we're going to do. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to keep track of your grades that do sync over. So I'm going to share screen, please. Move your beautiful faces out of the way. There we go. Share screen 3. All right, move my toolbar. I am in what's called grade sync. A lot of you know about this and some of you do not. So when you push your grades over from your grades over to AERIES, there a screen shows up and shows you the status. But once that disappears, you're like, oh, I don't know how to check the status anymore. If you have this tab over here on the left, you can see one that's called grade sync. If you have that, you can always go there to check how the status is. You don't have to worry about that window that disappears after a while. And if you don't have grade sync there, don't worry, it's just for you, not for the kids. So there's no reason for you not to have it, but we're not going to make you do anything, of course. But it's called grade sync. And if you don't have it, all you have to do is go to your settings. And from here, you would go to your navigation. And if you don't have it, it'll be down here somewhere. And then you just have to drag it up. I'm not going to do that, but you would just drag it up to the ones that appear and simply hit save at the bottom. Once you've done that, then you're going to have grade sync on the side. And again, that's just for you and not the kids. But grade sync is so, so great. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it and show you some possibilities and things that you could do in here. So here I am in grade sync. As you can see the different times we have synced recently. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? So you could take a look at it and you could see that, I did the syncing, the teacher did the syncing. And, and here you notice this one that says completed, it means it went through perfectly. And it's great because you can see the progress, you're sitting there waiting forever and you can see how quickly it's going through and you can refresh it right here as well. But if you see this exclamation mark, you could also see the error. So I know a lot of you contact us with errors, which is great. We're here for you anytime, but it does help to see what the error might be. So you could take a look at it and it tells you invalid assignment ID. Invalid assignment ID. So it also will tell you there's no gradebook name. It'll tell you it's the assignment group is wrong. So it can kind of give us an idea of how to troubleshoot and how to fix that problem. Okay. Another great resource in here in GradeSync over here in settings. This is really important. You're going to want to remember this one. If your sync is not working, that happens sometimes or all the time. It depends. If it's not working, you've tried everything under the sun, you can do what's called remaster grade passback. And when you click on that, it just simply starts the sync again. Okay, but it remasters the whole thing. So a lot of the time we would do everything, it still doesn't work, but once we press this, it just all of a sudden starts working. We don't know why, it just happens. So you click on that and then here it will start showing you the progress just like as if you were doing your regular syncing. Okay, anyway, so that is Grade Sync. That's a great resource for you. Another thing, a lot of teachers have, I'll go to that in a moment. I'll speak first. A lot of teachers have said, you know what, my grades in AERIES do not match my grades in Canvas. And there are different reasons why that can happen. But first of all, you have to know that it's happening, right? So we're going to go ahead and show you a quick way for you to check between your grades in AERIES and in Canvas. So if you click on a student's name in Canvas, and then you go to grades, and then at the bottom, you see this breakdown at the bottom, how many points it's out of, the percentage, and then the total percentage. So we're gonna keep that in mind. And then over here in AERIES gradebook, we do the same. So you could see that right here, show more. So this box right here, this should match. Let me scoot this over so you can see it. There you go. Okay, so this should match. I know it's off by 0.01%, but I think that's negligible at this point. So you can see your assignment points, and this is close enough for me, so I'm not gonna worry about that. But there are some times when the discrepancy is so huge and you're like racking your brain trying to figure out why, and we're gonna share that with you right now. So let me go ahead and move this over. Oh, great. Please hold. I just lost it. Here we go. Okay, and I think I lost my notes too. All right. So here is how you fix that if that does happen to you. So I'm just going to go to any assignment right now. Here we are. Sorry about that. I'm just going to go to any assignment. So here we are in the assignments, and there are these two checkboxes that are so important. Right here, it says, do not count this assignment towards final grade, and this one, include the assignment grades when syncing. So if you want it to sync to your AERIES, of course you need to have this checked, okay? Hold on, I'm gonna pull up your picture again because I can't see you guys. There you are, okay. So if you want it to sync, again, make sure you click that. But sometimes you have assignments that you're like, you know what? I want them to do this assignment. I don't want it to affect their grade really. I'm not gonna push it to AERIES, which is totally fine. So you would unclick that. It's not gonna sync. We're fine. But then you'll realize in Canvas, your scores are wrong because Canvas is still counting that score. So if you don't want it to count in AERIES, you're gonna also want to check this box that says, do not count this assignment towards the final grade, so that Canvas also doesn't count it, okay? So if you, let me go back again, rewind. If you uncheck the sync box, then you're going to want to check not counting it towards the grade. Do you get that? So one or the other, so that they'll match, okay? So that makes sense. Oops, please hold. All right, so let me move on. Let's see if I got that. Oh, I don't want to miss something down here. So make sure, sometimes we want our things to sync, but they don't. And we want to make sure when you're assigning that you assign to everyone or to certain periods, especially if you are cross-linked, okay? If you assign to certain students, it's not going to push over. So just keep that in mind. I know we always knew that, but just a reminder, okay? All right, next part. Okay, let's go into our grades right now. Please hold. There we go. Okay, so here we are in our grades, and well, just some discrepancies here. So as you can see, like Christina noted before, I don't have the filter for my terms. I'm gonna go ahead and turn that on right now for my grading periods. Okay, so if you click on a certain grading period, let's say spring, and when you click here, you might notice some of your assignments that you don't want in here. You're like, wait, no, that's from the fall. Why is this in here? And the reason why is because the dates have to align. And Christina did mention that earlier. I'm just going to show you quickly how to fix that. So if you do notice, like for example, if this one, I did not want this in here, I would click on it and it will bring me to the assignment. But I like to right click and open a new tab, because if you don't, I end up takes over this window and a backtrack and blah, blah, blah. So here I am here, I edit, and again, I just check on my dates and make sure the dates are within the grading period I want it to show up for. That's all. Okay, so if any of your things are misplaced, there's another place to do that as well, but we're not gonna go over that today, okay? All right, what was the next part? All right, here we go. I'm gonna go back. Okay, so now final part, I promise, we're actually going to go as if we're going to push it over into AERIES gradebook. So I go into actions. A lot of you are familiar with this. Sync to grade pass back. Is that what it said? And some of you look at it and you're like, why is everything checked off? Like, these are my assignments from last semester and I'm tired of seeing my hundreds of assignments, okay? There are a few solutions. One, it's already checked off. These are old assignments. You could completely ignore that. It's not going to override what you have. The system just, it ignores it. As long as you didn't change any scores, you didn't change any titles, it's gonna know not to push it over. So you could just ignore those. You don't have to go through and uncheck every single one. It's only going to recognize the ones that have changed. So it changed a due date, changed a title, changed a score for a student. Those ones will push over. So all of these check marks, you can ignore them, okay? But I know some of us can't do that. It's really hard to ignore because some of you have like hundreds and hundreds. So I'm going to show you another solution as well. So if you don't want to see those check marks anymore, then you can go into your assignments. Here we are. Into your assignments. And if you know that these assignments are from last grading period, or you don't want to worry about them popping up on that screen, you could simply click on this one right here and just uncheck them. And if you uncheck those, then they won't show up on that check mark, which I think it's fine. But Ricardo thought of this, by the way. I don't think it's the best, but it's I'm just kidding. A lot of teachers love it. That just go ahead and uncheck those, and then it won't show up there anymore. So if that's annoying for you, just take time to uncheck all of those, and then it'll never bother you again. Okay. Okay. Last but not least, let's go into AERIES gradebook. So in order for your sync to actually work, let's just go over some basics that I think some may have forgotten, okay? So your category names, they have to match your assignment groups exactly. Spelling, spacing, everything has to be exact. So make sure, I know some of you have renamed, like especially our self-contained 6th grade, things like that, you've renamed it for the new grading period. Please make sure you rename it as well. Not rename it, you just make new groups or rename it the exact same way as well, okay? In your Canvas assignment group. I think I got that right. Okay, so just make sure that's the same. And, okay, another thing, it won't sync if you choose more than one. So if you see like this teacher, period, let's say 5, she has lots of period 5s. Okay, this is kind of a rare case. You can't check all of these here. You can only check one. So you have to have one grade book per. Okay, so this teacher will need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's a lot. Okay, so she's going to need one for each one in order for it to work. Okay, so if you have more than one thing checked here, then your syncing is likely not to work. Okay, and last but not least, let me go to my dashboard. You cannot have linked gradebooks. You can have them cross-linked in Canvas, but you can't link them here. So if you can see, she has a lot. This is a different case. I know she has like so many in one period, but some of you in the past, before we had Canvas, you wanted to link all of your similar courses together so that you could just assign and push them out. But that won't work. The sync doesn't work that way. So make sure that your courses are not linked, and you don't have to worry about that because if you're doing everything in Canvas, then it links there and then you just push over easily. But yes, so that's another solution as well. Make sure your courses are not linked in AERIES. Okay, and I think that was it for me. I went kind of quickly, I apologize, but let me stop share. If you have any questions, please let us know. We're always here to help you with that. I think, Robert, you're next.
You're on mute, Robert.
Thank you. Okay, so my part was how to enter in grades. I've been working with a few high school teachers and middle school teachers that just have, 100 assignments, maybe times 2 or 3 every day to, grade. And what's the fastest, easiest way to, do all that without spending, 2 or 3 hours and having to, go back and look for the late assignments and all that kind of stuff. So there's 3 types of assignments that I want to go over and kind of how they work. And I guess, based off of your grading policy, you can choose which one you want to use. So the first one is for credit, no credit. And, so I was thinking this might be like the ticket out the door, they're just something simple that probably every student in your class is going to be doing on that day. And for that, I would use the credit, no credit. And here's the credit, no credit right here, where you see all of these check marks. They're not going to get a point value inside their Canvas grade. If they do it, they get their check mark. If they don't do it, they're going to get this little X saying that they did not finish it. But once you put it in here and you push this to AERIES, then however many points you made that assignment out of, let's see, this is do not do. It's over here on the right side. Everyone's going to get the full credit. So, maybe even if it's like everyone was there today except for one kid and you don't want to go back and mess with that, just everyone gets full points today for that, last second thing, then I would probably use this credit, no credit. You also have this option over here on the right with the settings wheel of setting up a late policy and a missing policy. And these will either automatically be deducted from the grade that you enter, or the grade will automatically be entered by itself. So for example, if I set up this automatic apply grade for missing assignments, when you make a grade and you have that assignment available until a certain date and then it goes away, any student that forgets to hand it in, then that grade will automatically be applied. And you can see that right here under this do not do auto, where everyone that didn't turn it in was in red, and then they were just given half credit, okay? Now that's kind of weird because this student right here who did the assignment, he got half the points anyways because of what he scored. So you might want to kind of play with those numbers to kind of make it fair for everyone. And then also when I gave this person who handed in theirs late the full credit, 2 points, then theirs was deducted by 50% and their score went down to 1. So it automatically will kind of, do those things for you. You don't have to keep track of it. Let's see here. Okay, another thing with the credit, no credit is if I put in this late policy, then everybody who hands theirs in, it'll show to grade. Everyone who forgot to hand theirs in, it's going to show that they received no credit. And everyone who actually handed theirs in, I could go to the 3 dots up here and I could go into set default grade. So everyone that handed theirs in out of 10 points, if I hit complete, it's going to mark everyone that handed it in, whether it's late or not. Now the thing that doesn't work on here is that late policy. So even though this blue box says that it's late, when we push grades to AERIES, it's going to show right here that those 2 students handed it in and there was no late penalty on that one. So you can't set the late penalty or the automatic late penalty on the credit, no credit. Okay. All right, the next type of assignment is the ones that, you would grade yourself. So this is where you would go in there, look at their stuff in like SpeedGrader, enter in their grades, and then it would show up on their Canvas gradebook. Now for that, if I was trying to do this as fast as possible, I would definitely set the late policy. And then I would wait to grade everyone else's until after that late policy went through. And then so that way speed who didn't hand theirs in would get, half credit here. As you can see, there's all these 5s. And then let's say I went through and I graded everyone else's through the SpeedGrader, they would get the points that I gave them, or if they was late, then they would get half credit. And if you really wanted to do this fast, which I'm not saying to do, you could also go to the set default grade, and anybody who handed it in late or on time would get that default grade. So I just said, well, everyone gets like an 8 on this, and so they would get an 8, and this person would get an 8, but then they would automatically have their late points there, and they would only have 4 points. Okay, so but then having this late policy or this missing policy then kind of affects students' grade, because then they won't be able to hand things in late after a certain point, and they're going to get what they get. So again, it just depends on how your late work policy works. Let's see. Okay, and then the last way to hand in assignments would be through quizzes. So you could use a quiz as like a homework assignment, just kind of checking up, did you do 30 minutes of reading? And they can hit yes, and then they'll get the points for that, and it'll be automatically graded. So that assignment is, let's see here, this auto graded right here. Do not do auto grade. So for this one, I made a quiz and the students answered half the points, right. And this one too was also half the points right, but then they was late, so that then it took half of their points that they got right. Everyone that didn't do the quiz got 2 points. So again, when you do this one, you might want to make sure that it's fair, that the person gets all the points right. Again, I don't think I'd do this for like a regular quiz. I might do this for, again, something that they're just going to be checking in on, like their reading log, or like some kind of just a practice worksheet that they were doing. And so that way everything gets put in for you, and then you can default their grades, or it's automatically graded. The grades are put in, and then all the points are also subtracted there. Other than that, if there's any other scenarios, I would think you would just have to put it in, one by one, and then it'll grade it for you. Okay. Just wondering if there's any other scenarios out there that people kind of came across. They're kind of wondering if it works or not. Okay, well, if you find any, please let me know.